Hi everyone, I'm Gary Tucker and welcome back to Advancing with Watercolor. This week we're extending a project that we began last week where we performed a couple of exercises that were focused on graded washes. In this week's exercise, we're taking that another step further and developing a scene showing the moon rising off of the horizon at Good Harbor Beach in Gloucester. In any case, there's always a PDF file at the bottom, if you look through the description, that breaks down the exercise into a series of steps, so it makes it a little easier to follow along. So let's pick up our brushes and head over to our watercolor table. Aggressive lift. Try to make a ball as best you can and pull it out. Okay, let's get ready for our tonal study. The tonal study is a good way to start your work if you're developing a new subject or just want to practice your subject. A tonal study is good for that. I find it's really helpful to get to know your subject by, repeating. In this case, we're creating, let's see, I'm going to put the horizon just a little bit above, a little bit below center. My house about here. And our surf, see beyond here, see the surf coming in. Might make that a little smaller. Thinking about reflections. Some of the tide is moving in and moving out. There's some sandbars shaping that. So I'm really thinking about how to make this a more interesting composition. And one of the ways to make it a more interesting composition is to stagger distances, or so like moving this a little closer than my sun, a little closer to this edge, creates more tension, a little more tension. So that's a little better fit. We're going to reflect both the moon and, or maybe this is the sun, rising sun, setting sun, setting sun. And we're going to bring in a little bit of an angle to the blue. So maybe a little, no, a little lower is good. A little bit of an angle, very slight. There's a little bit of an angle here. There's also a counter angle with some of the sand that's coming out. When you do reflections, it's a little challenging because they tend to repeat the shapes, sometimes too symmetrically. So I might bring this a little lower. I just want this to break that line. So something like that is pretty good. So this line is going to be sort of important, this line, to counter all these horizontals and the symmetry that's in the sky. Yeah, let's go with this. And I'm just going to be using neutral tint. So let's mix up a lighter version of this. That means plenty of water. Start a little below the top. That way, if we need to lighten it, we can, just by carrying water up here. And then we start to bring it down. Getting darker as we come down. Righty. Good. Major focus is going to be the house against the sky. So a gradual transition is what I'm looking for. Let that come up a little higher. Although it looks dark, it's not really that dark. Nope. Just a little cautious with the bead here. It's quite nice like that, which means it's a little pale. So I'm going to add just one more go with this color. Looking for consistency more than anything else. That was too light. Wet. All right, let's try paper towel for a little more of aggressive lift. Try to make a ball as best you can and pull it out. Maybe touch up the sides. Okay, not too bad. Let's try the same below. Again, kind of part way down, with a little bit more water in this case. Start to bring it down. A lot of water. And as we carry it up, we're going to add more paint to that. Keeping just a little bit of white there if I can. This is actually pretty good. Okay, come once more. A little darker. Let's turn it over. Controlling the graded wash. We want it to look as effortless as possible and natural as possible. I think that's going to have to do. The sky is quite nice. Pleased with that result. I'm going to take a smaller brush and sort of stitch this together. We can do this later too. Close enough. All right. Maybe we lift out a little. Moon here too. Good, let's dry it off. So it's kind of nice the way it's dried. I'm pleased with the overall view, that soft transition through the middle. The resulting setting sun looks good. It's maybe a little too bright, but that's something I feel we can adjust. The next stage is to move to the rocks and the house on the horizon, start to shape the surf, and then the sand is going to kind of finish everything. So let's move on. Okay, I'm going to be using the same brush. Where are you, brush? Here you are. The big mop brush and a small sablette. This should be good. What I want to start by doing is just blocking in that shape of the house. And I'm thinking about a transition there as well. A transition going from a little paler, perhaps, to a little darker below and a little darker towards the left, paler towards the right. Mix up a good amount of color because it's a pretty big shape. All right, something about like that. We can adjust it when we hit the paper, but sometimes it's better not to. So I'm really just blocking it in from the center out. Once I get to that sort of covered, I'll come back to this smaller brush and start to place the shapes a little more to my liking. And I'll go back and forth between these two brushes until I get what I want. Just carry this straight up. And I'm trying to make this all part of one shape. I think you're seeing that. All sort of joined, a joint shape. This model is not as effective. A nice, good shape. Some trees. And let's get a little darker towards the neck of this outcropping. Something like that. And I'm just going to hit it with a spray bottle once more. Smaller spray bottle. Just to make sure everything is pretty flat. And a little darker towards the right. So through here, just a little darker. That will help with the feeling of light at the end. Let's shape the sand below. We have some diagonals. Maybe the surf is a better place to start. Mix up some of this sort of lighter tone. Dry brush mostly to get the shape that I want. And then let's put the sand. I'm going to use a big wide brush for that. I think this will do. Still a little darker.
eliminate this. Not helping. Little adjustment to the house. All right, let's let this dry, and then we'll look at adjustments.